Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our Watch Club preview for Marvel's Loki. The Timekeepers have built quite the circus, and I see the clowns are playing their parts to perfection. Welcome, Variants. My name is Justin, and today we'll be giving you our first reaction to Marvel's Loki, which hits Disney Plus on June 9th, which is tomorrow if you're listening to this on the day it was released. In this episode, we're going to give you our spoiler-free review for this new time-traveling crime drama. But first, if you're joining us for the first time, this is Watch Club Preview, our spoiler-free reaction, so you can get just as hyped as we are for this epic new show. Of course, this will lead into weekly reviews for Loki once the episode hits the streaming platform for everyone to enjoy. But for now, we're keeping it straightforward and talking about the non-spoiler details. Before we all get ripped out of our various timelines, let me introduce you to our group of devilishly handsome variants. First up, we have the grandfather clock himself, Nate Shelton.
Oh, I'm a grandfather clock. Oh, I don't know why I'm so old, but...
And he's always late, but he's still great. That's Kevin Hudson for you.
Sorry, I just got here.
Oh my gosh. I think you could flip those, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm usually the late one, and Kevin's the grandfather.
I guess he is the grandfather
if anything.
clock,
Come on.
yeah.
Come
I
on.
guess so. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Oh,
what a
dude,
what a weekend.
I'm just...
Right?
Wow,
Been busy.
I'm over the moon.
Yes, right?
Over the moon.
So as I mentioned at the top of the show, this is strictly to be a conversation about the aspects of the show without any spoilers. This past weekend, us geeks were able to watch the first 2 episodes of Loki, which I gotta say is pretty surreal to say and cool at the same time that we got early access. So huge thanks to the Disney Plus Canada PR team for letting us be a part of this experience. And we also got to join a global press conference and learn a little bit more of the creative insight that kind of went behind the scenes. Nate unfortunately couldn't attend because he had to work like a big boy. But Kevin and I work from home, so we were able to just kind of step aside and do that. It was about a half hour, so it was pretty cool. But all in all, it's been a great experience thus far, and we definitely look forward to more stuff in the future. But now, guys, for this Watch Club preview, because we are going to stay within the spoiler-free realm, if you will, I've got 3 questions for you that's really going to kind of focus on the tone and look, characters and performances, and of course, the hype factor. So you guys cool with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, one question, though. The spoiler-free realm, is that in between Midgard and Asgard,
Yeah,
or where does that land?
It kind of sits in between. It's definitely
Okay.
part of something bigger. Well, let's get right into it, guys, because this is intended to be a preview, so this will probably be a shorter episode. So let's get right to it with our first question about tone and look. Now, Loki is the 3rd MCU show to be released this year. WandaVision kicked things off in January, and it feels like we just finished The Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Right.
But each of these have had their own look and tone. WandaVision adopted various TV styles with a bit of that MCU aesthetic, while The Falcon and Winter Soldier continued the look of the spy thriller style from past Captain America films. However, Loki, in my opinion, feels much different. It clearly has a retro sci-fi look to it that is kind of like a film noir. But I got to know, guys, how did you guys feel about this new look within this new world of Loki? Kev, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I just think in general, everything about this show feels a bit bigger than the last 2 shows that we watched. Whereas they were sort of focused on developing their characters' stories. This feels like it's going to have much larger implications to the MCU overall. And I just thought they gave it such a unique and individual energy that it was instantly its own show, but also fit right into the MCU. I don't know. There was so much.
Yes.
So it was so well done right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, speaking of it fitting with the MCU, it feels so fresh, right? It feels so fresh, but it's still implementing the humor that we got in something like Thor Ragnarok, right? And so I really, really enjoy that. I love it. It's going to be interesting how they do incorporate it into there. Once we sort of get past these first couple of episodes, I hope we get more sort of information on how it's going to fit into the MCU in general. But I'm so excited just to see that they're, I'm sure they're still drawing elements from the comics, but this feels really original and different, right? Where the previous ones, you could almost predict the entire show by finding a comic that was close enough to it. This, I don't know where to look, and I'm okay with that. I'm really stoked about that, and it's what Marvel needs after 23 movies, right? When we were talking about the Eternals trailer, this is having something so different like this, that sort of flips the script on what the MCU is sort of set up,
right,
is so cool. And the fact that we just get it for 6 straight weeks is just awesome. I'm so stoked.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think from a look standpoint, I'm digging this 70s sci-fi inspired look. You see it in the set design. You see it in the art direction. You even see it in the mustache that Mobius has. Like it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
I think you described it really, really well. Actually, the both of you did. It feels nostalgic, but also fresh for the MCU. Even the technology that we see featured, it looks old, but then it's incredibly advanced. So like this looks very similar to like maybe some of the 60s, 70s stuff we might have seen in WandaVision. But even like the look of the cinematography, it carries that nostalgic vibe with its sort of very reminiscent film noir, hard shadows, and a warm lighting that feels very, again, 70s-esque. What do you guys think of the score? Like, I feel like I was getting some serious Ragnarok vibes from the score, like that synth, that you hear that synth instrument that's kind of playing throughout, and it's also kind of like mischievous and like very alluring. Like I thought it was really well done. Like this has a very unique score, it's kind of play off of the look and tone.
But it's cool. I mean, the show is about time, right? It's all about time, and that's a huge theme in the show. And I love how the music sort of plays into some of the unique elements of it, right? In the sense of like, sure, maybe it has some sort of 70s vibes in it with the music, and then there's also some 80s vibes in it as well with the synth that you were mentioning. But like, we get some of those more sort of really beautiful string moments with very like Norse strings, which I think is really cool. And then also like the clock ticking throughout a lot of the songs is just fits so well. And there's this isn't a spoiler, but there's this one scene where Loki, let's just say, has an epiphany of sorts, and the strings in that moment are just gorgeous, and we get a more sort of
orchestral,
consistent theme. And it keeps coming up, right, with certain moments with Loki specifically, which is something I've always loved from Star Wars, right? Like a really good character theme,
right?
So I'm shout out to Natalie Holt, who did the music for this, and I'm just I love it. It's the first one of these at least MCU shows where I'm actually like, I need to actually download the soundtrack when it's released.
Because we can't get into spoilers or anything, it is almost easier to compare it to the two shows we've seen.
Yes.
And with WandaVision, obviously they were using all those classic sitcom style scores to reflect whatever decade they were paying homage to. And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier had that very like traditional Marvel orchestral, MC, like there was the familiarity in the songs being played there. Whereas this, it's again wholly unique, wholly original in terms of the score, and it was like a cool sci-fi sort of vibe that you got from it, which perfectly reflected the show. So it was well done for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they took all of what we've been talking about, put it in a big ass melting pot, and then pulled out this world, and it's so crazy because you think of the TVA as probably being something very futuristic, but then they seem to be immersed in something that feels very dated, but also timeless. Like it's really interesting.
Exactly.
Right. So
because it is so centralized to the theme of time that, and I think even, at a certain point it's called out by Owen Wilson's character that it's, time sort of moves differently in the TVA. And in a sense, it's like you can understand how a lot of these characters that are living in that world don't have a sense of time because they are constantly moving between different time zones, and so I love it. It's just they do such a good job with the set design and
everything,
just every little detail in it. And I'm just really excited to see, how many different places we actually get to go, even outside of the TVA. I know we're kind of hyping up the TVA, but I'm really stoked for
sure.
wherever else we get to travel, right?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And speaking of people, why don't we move towards our second question?
That was a good transition.
Yeah.
Good transition.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry. So as many people know from the trailers that have been released, we don't just have Tom Hiddleston's Loki featured in this show. We have a variety of newcomers hitting the MCU. This includes Gugu Mbatha-Raw. We have Wanami Mosaku. Plus, we have Owen Wilson playing the TVA agent Mobius. So, guys, I have to ask, because we have such a diverse cast, who are you excited to see develop in this series? And how did you guys feel about Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston's dynamic on screen? Kev, let's start with you.
They had instant chemistry.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially in that first episode, they're together basically like in a room talking for a large chunk of the episode, and their dynamic is instantly established, and we learn so much about their characters, and we can see how well they're going to interact with each other throughout the entirety of this series. And I just thought it was fun. It was informative while keeping a fun vibe. It was just really well done. Great dialogue between the two. Great interactions.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Nate, how about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about. This series is obviously going to be a rich character study of Loki, right? And because the show's called Loki, Tom Hiddleston will always and forever be Loki. In my mind, he's like Hugh Jackman is to Wolverine, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
He's just. I'm so thrilled with his performance in these first two episodes, because, like, again, he just nails the growth of this character in such a believable way, and it comes off so authentic, which I really, really, really enjoyed. I'm so stoked that that we're getting him for 6 full episodes to really dive into that character.
Well, and obviously, where we last saw the character of Loki was way back in 2012, and so the character that we're getting in this show isn't the same one that we would see for 4 more MCU movies, right?
Right.
And so it's almost like Tom has a chance to go back and reinvent this character, and it's almost like he gets to start again with this character, and it makes it feel so fresh and new, even though, again, we have seen him in 6 movies. It's a whole new take on it, which is such an exciting opportunity, I think, probably for him as an actor, for the creators, the writers, everyone involved.
Yeah, he basically time traveled himself. It's pretty amazing, right? Like, he time travels his character back.
Yeah.
So, I think Mobius, played by Owen Wilson, is essentially playing Owen Wilson in this show, which is unreal. And that's kind of what he's evolved to. He's Owen Wilson in these movies, and he's got a little bit of obviously that sort of rough cop, sort of style to him, which is great.
Yeah.
His scenes so far with Loki have been like amazing. Their buddy cop banter is awesome, and I think this is going to be the highlight of the series. I just hope that he ends up sticking around and won't be a one and done character. But honestly, knowing Marvel, he may not be. He might be a continuous character.
I think so.
And you said he is very much bringing a form of Owen Wilson here, and I was a little skeptical about how that might work in this universe. Owen Wilson might seem
I was
goofy.
really hoping he would.
But I mean, I'm just glad it works, because it does work.
He
fits
brought the right
in.
amount. He brings the right amount of
the
his
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, because usually when you bring in comedians like that, you don't know what to expect. But like, I love when we get to see comedic actors take on more serious roles, and this is still a fun Marvel show, so that's why, absolutely, that's why Owen Wilson being Owen Wilson, really works. And there's a few lines that he says that I won't say, but like, where I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's just Owen Wilson. That's just Owen Wilson there, but I'm so okay with it. And I think he fits the character really, really well.
And I think it's almost a risk sometimes when you bring in somebody so established into a world like this, because will it take away from the sort of mystique and the feeling that this universe has to have, right?
Yes,
where it's like all of a sudden now you're plunking in somebody as well known as Owen, but he brings so much to the character that it's now 2 episodes in, it's not Owen Wilson, it's Morbius, Mobius, and it just worked.
And I also really wanted to just quickly shout out Wunmi Mosaku in the show, just because, I mean, her character is someone who's not afraid to go toe-to-toe with a god, and like she seems to be able to just punch through everything that comes through her path, and she's very like sort of closed off, and I'm sure that's for very good reasons in terms of like trust issues with a god of mischief, but like I just hope we get to learn more about her character, and I hope we get to kind of dive deeper with her, because honestly, she's such a fantastic actress. If you haven't seen her as Ruby in Lovecraft Country, do yourself a favor, even if you aren't really into the show Lovecraft Country, at least watch her scenes from it, because she's incredible and she's got a lot of depth. And so I hope that she kind of gets a little bit more in the series than what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I was going to say her character, I feel like I love that the strength of the TVA is kind of represented in her.
Yes.
I think I see her and Loki kind of having a very brother-sister bickering relationship that is going to be shaped by this adventure, and they're going to come to, they're on polar opposites, but they'll come together. Also, I just think it's great that this a role like this is being represented by a woman of color. It's something that I think you could write as a very genderless role, and it's very interchangeable to man and woman. But to have a woman represented in this is great. The last person I wanted to call out was Gugu Mbatha-Raw. I think she has such a seriousness to what she does. It almost borderline feels like she's committed to it as like almost like a religious belief. And I feel like I
got like hall monitor vibes.
Sure, yeah, like the sort of like there's too much power. But I'll be interesting to see if that serves to almost be like her demise, in the sense that it kind of breaks her spirit. Like, like she believes so much. And so it's just interesting to see how they've, in this first episode, they really established a couple of these like sort of these very distinct character traits for both of them.
I mean, you mentioned, just to see a woman of color in a role like this. And I just think that there's a great diversity to the whole cast.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, think back to the early days of the MCU, and you basically had Sam Jackson and a whole bunch of white people, and now you get with movies, really started with Black Panther, but then even the movies we're going to get this year between Shang-Chi and the Eternals, like there's such a great diversity coming in to the MCU that I think so many people are going to be able to see themselves represented in a genre that typically wouldn't have done that. And so it's a very exciting time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we're nearing the end here of our Watch Club preview. So with that, my last question is inspired by a short-lived review segment we had on the YouTube channel not too long ago. And in many ways, this is the intent of the Watch Club previews and future spoiler-free movie reviews, as we answer the one question that you really, really want to know, and that is, does it live up?
So good.
Well, let's start with Kev. Does it live up to the hype for you? We've been waiting quite a while for this. We've seen countless pieces of marketing material. Does it live up to the hype?
Marvel is just amazing. They could take something I have no interest in and make me care about something, a property I've maybe never heard of or anything like that. Or they can take something where my expectations are like sky high, can't possibly be met, and then somehow even over deliver on that. Like this show was everything I wanted it to be and things I didn't know I wanted it to be at the same time. It's been worth the wait. I think MCU fans are going to love this. Fans of Loki are just going to instantly fall back in love with the character. So in every single regard, I think this This is the best show they've done to date, and I'm so excited to see where this journey is going to take us. And not even just for this show, but for Phase 4. Like I think this is our real first sign of where Phase 4 is going to go. And so again, I'm not just excited to see the all 6 episodes of this show, but to see the implications that we get from this going forward.
Awesome.
100%.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm so stoked to see how it does fit into the overarching storyline of the MCU, as we've been saying. And as far as does it live up to the hype, Justin? Yes, 1,000% it lives up to the hype, okay? 1,001%. It's almost like Kevin Feige was sitting in a bar with some like reporters or whatever, and they asked him, so, Kevin, after 23 movies in so far, could you, how could you possibly keep the MCU going? And he's just like, hold my beer, right? And I'm just, I'm just so elated with how well the MCU has been translated to television and episodic content. This show is just more proof of the quality you can expect from Marvel. And, Kevin, to your point earlier of the whole thing feeling a little elevated, I think the performances are on another level, which is crazy because the performances so far have just been so standout in our previous 2 watch clubs for WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. And I just love that we get to explore more of this character. We get deeper into who he is. And I wholeheartedly, like you said, Kevin, I recommend this show to anyone who is even remotely interested in Loki. This is an absolute must-watch. If you haven't seen the other 23 movies in the MCU so far, I'm very jealous of you that you get to experience all of them for the first time. But this is an absolute must-watch show. So go watch all those movies and then absolutely watch this. I'm so hyped. And I think the show, at least in these first 2 episodes so far, lives up to what came before. It's awesome. I love it.
Awesome. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This 100% or 1,001%, as Nate said, lives up to the hype. This was one of my most anticipated things, if you will, for 2021. And as I mentioned in our reaction tweet on Geekcentric YT, so follow us over there. This is a total trip with a whole new vibe, and Marvel, yes, has done it again with creating a very unique time-traveling crime drama around what is, the most iconic villain in the MCU, and they've effectively created a new story for him, and opened a whole new chapter for the MCU. Again, as Kevin was implying, leading to more implications of what will happen in Phase 4. As I'd mentioned, the tone feels very familiar and nostalgic with its 70s-inspired sci-fi look. Everything about this series feels timeless rather than just simply old. New characters are introduced with clear traits and that set them apart from one another. But that comedic buddy cop relationship of Loki and Mobius is going to be a huge anchor point to this series and is going to keep the audience engaged as the mysteries unfold. This feels like an MCU as it blends various elements to create something new, and as Nate said, something fresh and incredibly exciting. I think it won't be long before more fans like us are proclaiming that this is the best MCU series. So yes, this lives up to the hype 100%. Check it out when it drops June 9th, tomorrow on Disney Plus. You'll have to wait a week for episode 2, but we already checked that out. So
he says with a slight flex. Yeah,
I know.
Just a little flex. No big deal. I mean, come on. But I think we're allowed to do that at least once in our careers, and then never again.
Sure, absolutely. So, but that's it, guys. That is our Watch Club preview. We hope you enjoyed hearing our early reaction to Disney Plus' latest MCU project, Loki. If you did, feel free to give us a review. Make sure it's 5 stars because you're burdened with glorious purpose. But of course, we're not done talking about this series. Far from it, in fact. Starting this week, we'll be launching our new Watch Club series for Loki, and we will be dropping episodes each week, basically recapping full of spoilers. So if you want to hear all the spoilers from episode 1, be sure to subscribe and check out the episode, which will be dropping this week. And if you're a fan of the Watch Club series and Star Wars, who knows, we do have an ongoing Watch Club for the Bad Batch currently running. So be sure to check that out. I believe episode 6 is live now. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this Watch Club preview. Kev, Nate, as we say,
love ya.
Stay home safe, guys.
Peace.